Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another mini collage for you in this big and chunky journal. You just saw that it's almost full, so I try to just fill the last pages and then I can make a flip through. The book I'm having here is a collage book that I picked up at a flea market, and I use it to store my collage papers and also to make them. And I have several videos on my Instagram reels where you can see how I do this, and maybe I will use one of these papers today. I'm working completely intuitively, so I have no plan in mind. I don't know which papers I'm going to use. I have just a stack of papers sorted out a while ago that I thought match well together. But on this little amount of space, I just can play with a few bits and pieces. I'm starting off with the violet reddish paper. It's rice paper and it's printed with the jelly plate, and after I've printed it, I have stamped it with acrylic paint and this pattern stamp. And I just start with this just intuitively, and I'm using a glue stick as always to stick down my papers. The little journal I'm working in is from DOMESTIKA. It's their house brand, a sketch pad with not the best paper in it. It's just meant to be for sketching, and it has the size of 10 by 10 centimeters. I really like the size because you can also use it for leftover paper scraps and little bits and pieces and just experiment. I like to tear my papers, as you can see, and depending on the direction you tear it, you get a white border or you get not a white border from the paper. And I like this, to have this opportunity, cutting my paper to get a different edge than tearing it. And also the direction you tear the paper makes a difference. The dotted paper I'm having here is a tissue. It is stamped with acrylic paint. Always keep these tissue papers when I buy new shoes for the kids. There you will get this tissue, but I think you can also buy it probably on Amazon or maybe in any craft stores. If you're interested in how I make the collage papers, I have several videos already on my channel, and I will link up the playlist in the end cards and also in the video description. And I don't know if you knew that I also have a blog where I post all my projects, so you can have a look at the photos of the finished pieces, and I will link this up as well in the video description. And also on my Instagram page, I regularly share ideas on how to make your own collage papers, and I also share quick collage process videos that I don't share here on YouTube, so maybe you like to check that out. You will find that link as well in the video description. Here I picked also some rice paper that was printed with the jelly plate, and it has this nice yellowish greenish color, and I really like it together with the violet. This page becomes a bit tricky later on. I will add some paint later, and will come to a stage where I don't like the page at all, but I will fix that and change it, I think, almost completely in another direction. But there I recognized without all these patterns, textures, and colors underneath, it wouldn't have been this page. It just wouldn't have the texture and the depth. And that's what I love about experimenting and collage and art journaling, that you can just without any pressure change your page if you don't like it, and if you ruin it, you can just tear it out, throw it away, or never look at it again. But you can always learn something, and often it happens if you change direction and just do something you haven't planned, you get a really interesting and nice result. In my next step, I'm going on top with some paints. I'm using vinyl paints here. I have them right on my desk, and I think they are perfect to just dip in the brush if you need a little amount of paint. And what I also like about them is that they dry super matte. They dry like gouache paint, and I bought them as a replacement for acrylic gouache, which I like to use in my sketchbook. But acrylic gouache is super expensive, and compared with those flash paints, they are not as expensive, especially not for the amount of paint you get. If you don't have vinyl paints, of course you can use gouache paint or acrylics. Here I'm going in with a darker green. I thought it would match all my colors, but in the end, this was the reason I didn't like the page. But I will later cover up almost everything of the screen except from just some touches here and there. Yeah, and that turned the page completely. I also felt that the whole spread is a bit too dark, so I decided to go in with some lighter paint, and this is also, I believe, a greenish gray, also a green tone. I really love the colors they have from these vinyl paints, especially the light ones. I will now let the paints dry completely, and then I will come back with some acrylic inks. And I'm starting with the white acrylic ink to just brighten up the page even more and to give it some different texture compared to all the, I don't know how to describe it, to all the texture I already have. I want to have some more fluidity in there. And so I added a bit of water, which can be a bit tricky in this paper, on this paper or in this journal. But as I already had some pieces on the background, it was not a problem at all. I wanted to bring back the black dots, so I'm just dipping away the paint with a baby wipe in this area. I dried this layer of white with my heat tool just to keep on working on it. And here is where I realized I don't like that dark spot on the right bottom corner. And also the red was not the color I wanted to have. So I'm searching for a piece that I can glue on top of that. I finally picked this brown beige paper. I thought the yellow was too much on this corner. I now want to stamp that leaf on my page, and I'm just arranging my acrylic block so that it has room to stamp on that spiral bound corner. And I'm using the VersaFine Clear ink. Usually I would use StazOn on top of Collage with acrylic paint, because VersaFine Clear doesn't dry really good on a smooth surface. But this surface is pretty textured because of the vinyl paints and the rice paper. So I decided that I will be good. I will be fine with the VersaFine Clear, and VersaFine Clear gives just better impressions than StazOn. And as I'm stamping directly in my journal, it was a bit important. It's always a bit tricky stamping into the journal because sometimes it's a bit bulky or the paper is over the edge and then you don't get an impression. Yeah. Here I'm cutting off the overlapping paper. I really like that I have covered up that green, and I decided to do this with the green on top as well. And I started out with a pink or magenta neo color, and then I decided to add an even more magenta with acrylic ink to give it a different kind of texture and make it look more fluid. And as always, you can never go wrong with splatters, and so I'm adding some of these magenta splatters to my page. I let this dry again, and now I'm coming in with even more stamping to create a bit of texture, and I'm using these tickets and postage stamps here from the Mix It Up 2 set. Just a little bit of the images here and there, not too much, only to create a bit of interest. And next I go in for some final touches with a white Posca paint pen, and I create a dot pattern over this dark magenta area here. It just brings in some more highlights. I think my Posca pen is running out of paint, and also with the neo color underneath, it's a bit more difficult to get that paint pen going. And for some final touches, I will use the neo colors to bring in a bit of that greenish yellow with the Chinese green color. I feel that matches that magenta perfectly. And you can still see some of this dark green I've added in the beginning peeking through in some areas, and that would not be if I wouldn't have made all these choices in the beginning. And that's also a reason why I'm covering up stuff in the process. Here I'm coming back in with a white neo color just to brighten the white areas a bit more. And that's it. That's my finished page. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope we will see us next time. I wish you a wonderful weekend. Bye.